This may
Thank you, Patrick. So, people, what did you learn yesterday?
Cloud
Cloud what? Cloud what, Mark?
Cloud Trail.
Cloud Trail. All right. What in Cloud Trail did you learn? When do you need to use Cloud Trail? I need us to build up on what we learned yesterday. It's what you're going to build up on today, the rest of the day. So what you learned yesterday. So yesterday we learned about Cloud Trail, right? And it does what? What does it check for? Did you learn about something like API calls? Ama mwalimu alikuwa anaongea peke yake? Patrick, were you teaching yourself? These people are not telling me what they learned. It's used for governance, compliance.
Nashanga. I wonder.
Musimbi, it's used for governance, compliance, operations, auditing, security analysis by enabling users to see who made a change, when an action was taken, when it happened and from where. So for user history. Very nice, Daniel. Exactly that. So you see CloudTrail, it will track API calls to see who did what. Somebody is unmuted. Buffalo, talk to me. Good morning. Labda
Morning.
umenimiss.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. I thought umenimiss. It's okay. It's okay.
Nimekumiss pia.
All right. CloudTrail, logging, intrusion detection, systems and types. Virus and backdoors. Yes, Salem. Very nice. Sandra, if you're not here, mimi siwezi kukutetea. Musembi is kindly, Sandra, show up, say hi, so that Musembi can concentrate in my class. He said he won't answer any of my questions. Very nice. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for the good favor. Now, Musembi, kindly focus on config. I've seen that you've been trailing Sandra's presence in class. It's interesting. Now let's see if she can use config on you. All right. Very nice. All right. So now, you see, we are using CloudTrail to see who did what on the cloud, okay? Just remember that, because these services can be quite confusing, especially when you're studying for exam. So use these short phrases that we're using, Patrick and I, to remind you, okay? So CloudTrail, track API calls, get to know who did what on the cloud, who changed what. Now, today we're going to learn about config, and config is one of my favorite services. Why? Config tells you see, CloudTrail told us who changed what, but now config is going to tell us what was changed. Okay. Now, for example, you can use config to know whether, for example, now in the scenario that is right on in front of our faces, it's a question asking us, how can you check and ensure that resources in your AWS account comply with your security policies? For example, ensure that all passwords have at least one uppercase, lowercase, character, number, and symbol. Or ensure that all Amazon S3 buckets are not publicly accessible. Or number 3, all EC2 instances have private in a private subnet do not have a public IP address. So what will you do to check this? So you'd create a role in AWS Config which will alert you if any of this is violated. So now, when I was reading for my DevOps exam, this is how I actually understood config. So imagine this: you are in your house. Let's say I am sorry for this example that I'm going to give, but kindly allow me to use it. So imagine that we are in a house, okay? This house, it belongs to Chelsea, right? This house belongs to Chelsea. Now, Chelsea has left the house very clean. So it's very organized. The sofa is well straightened. The tables are well wiped. Um, all the utensils are clean and arranged on the shelf. The cooker is clean, no food spillages, no nothing. The floor is sparkless. All clothes are organized in her wardrobe. Now she sets a rule in config that will tell her if a cup leaves the cupboard and it goes to the sink and it has not been removed to the sink, it's still dirty, alert me. If someone sits and disrupts my sofa arrangement, my pillows, alert me. She sets another rule and says, if someone comes to the bedroom, takes clothes and leaves the ones he or she was wearing on the floor, alert me. All right. So what has Chelsea done? She has created a config rule that will alert her that the way she left the house is as it is. If anyone changes, she'll be notified. All right, that will be a violation. So now, let's assume I am sorry, Ridge comes into the house when Chelsea is here with us in restart in class. Ridge goes to the house and goes straight to the kitchen, makes himself, takes a pot, makes tea, uh, beats an egg here and then, fries up, and serves himself the pots and the pans in the sink. Takes the cup of tea and the eggs, goes to the sitting room, sits overly comfortably on the sofa and lifts his legs up, eh? And then he enjoys his cup of tea and toast. Then takes them back to the sink, and then goes to the bedroom, removes the clothes he was wearing, to take a shower, puts the clothes down, goes takes another new set of clothes, and then goes out on his way. Now, with each and every of these violations, Chelsea will be notified. So the moment Reed took a pan out, took an egg out, uh, opened the cooker and started cooking, put the pots in the sink, went and sat on the chair and did not straighten them, went and left his clothes on the floor, went and picked another set of new clothes. All those rules, they're going to be notified. She's going to be notified that certain configurations have been changed. Now, so now this is a function of AWS config. It will let you know when certain rules that you'd set up have been violated. Have you guys understood? Have you guys understood? All right. So that's the function of config. The long and short of it. Whatever you learn today, kindly just take it take that out. We know this gender, it can lie. This gender, hata wanaweza sema sio wao wamepika mayai, but it's okay. Thank you, Gideon. All right. So, all right. Very nice. Samuel, good morning. Unmute. Samuel, unmute. Samuel, unmute. Good morning.
Hi, good
How are you?
morning.
I have a bone to chew with you. Eh?
Yes.
Tutaonana pale nyuma ya tent. Anyway, I'm happy to see you,
Fantastic.
class. Karibu kwa class. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy to see you. All
Thank
right?
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Hi. So, um, now let's go back to the notes and let's relieve range of the accusations. Now, Rage is so happy. Right, nilikuwa nafikiria atakasirika. You're so happy. Okay. So now what is AWS Config? AWS Config is an AWS service that continuously monitors and records AWS resource configurations, okay, and evaluates them against desired security policies using rules. So the reason why it's called config, it's because it checks your resource configurations. If anything changes, it is going to alert you, and it uses policies called rules. Okay. Now, so what are rules? Let me just power on my laptop in a second. So what are rules? Now, uh, rules, they're created and managed. They're both created and they're both managed rules that specify your security requirements. For example, you can set a requirement rule on EC2 instance to say that if a private subnet is assigned an IP address, alert me. All right. So there are ones that if you see anything in AWS that you see managed, know that it is AWS that is creating and managing it. All right. If you see custom, it's what you as the user you're creating for yourself. All right. And then config, it continuously evaluates the resource configurations against these rules that you've set. So it will continuously check your EC2 instance to see if the private subnet gets assigned a public IP address. If it does, then it is going to alert you. It is going to flag and alert you of non-compliance, and it will trigger notifications using SNS or a remediation service called Systems Manager. So you guys remember that I've told you that I learned more about config in DevOps. The reason why config is so much used in DevOps is because you need to monitor your resources, right? You need to monitor whatever you deploy on the cloud. You need to monitor whatever resources that you're using. And there is this service that I think you pass through. It's called Systems Manager. So systems manager, do you guys remember when we were saying that systems manager is used to do things that you oftenly do, to automate most of the tasks that that you do oftenly. For example, like updating your systems. For example, like Linux users, you need to update your OSs, right? And say maybe let's say that you update your systems once a week or twice a week. So when you need your systems, yes, even patching, when you need your systems updated, instead of creating cron jobs in AWS, you can automate that using Systems Manager. All right. And you guys, we have a very interesting service called SNS that you're going to learn during your revision. So remember when I told you in NAMI, in this device that we created, if you pressed the button that you're in distress, it will send a message to your emergency contacts. Now, this service that actually sends messages or emails to people is called SNS. We have SNS. There are actually three in that category, but SNS is oftenly used. All right. We have SNS for notifications, we have SES for emails, and we have SQS for it's a queuing service like a mosquito or something. It's a queuing service. All right. So we have those three, but now you can trigger alerts and you can be sent for notifications using SNS. All right. So that's the how config works. Let's go ahead and get to see a little bit more about config that I didn't touch on. So AWS config, it monitors and it monitors and it's a monitoring and compliance service that helps you, number one, assess how your resources are configured, number two, audit changes over time, and number three, evaluate whether your configurations meet the security and governance policies. Its key features is a resource inventory, so it automatically discovers and lists all AWS resources in your account. So for example, in your account you have launched 3 instances, you're using EC2 auto scaling. Just a second, guys. And then number one, so it will check the resource inventory, it will look at your account and see all the resources that you're using and take them into account. So create an account for your resources, and then it's going to check your configuration history. It's going to track how each resource settings changed over time. And then number three, it's going to give you notifications if there is a change. So it alerts you when resource configurations changes. And then number four, you can integrate it with CloudTrail. Remember, I was asking you why what you learned yesterday, because you can integrate config and CloudTrail to show you who made the change, CloudTrail, right? When he made the change, CloudTrail, and how he made the change to this particular resource that you are checking. Okay? So remember, CloudTrail, it will always tell you who did what, when, and how. Config, it will tell you what changed. All right? So CloudTrail, in our scenario of the house, CloudTrail will have told Chelsea, the moment you left, a human being entered. This human being is of a male gender. This male gender um, logged into your house using this API called Ridge, right? So now, and he logged into your into resources at 9:58 when you are in class, when he used the door as the API call. All right. So that's what maybe CloudTrail will have told Chelsea. And then config would have told her, pan down from the cupboard, cooker lighted on, eggs broken, eggs cooked, pans on the sink, something of the sort. So kindly get to understand how each one of them actually works. All right. So what are the use cases of using config? Number one, it's using compliance and auditing. You check whether your resources meet the internal or external standards. Number two, you check security analysis, detect misconfigurations that could lead to vulnerabilities. Number three, resource tracking, where you monitor changes across your resources. And number four, troubleshooting, understand what changed before an issue occurred. All right, I hope you have understood. Msimbi ni kama anataka kumwaga mtama. All right, let's check AWS Config Management capabilities. Msembi ukimwaga mtama, we sijui tutakusaidiaje siku ya leo. We'll just put the mtama as our kin, just like Atis. All right, so AWS is used to configure your resource inventory, discover new and deleted resources, and continuous configuration and recording, and change notifications, and compliance evaluation, and historical analysis. What does this mean? So for resource inventory, automatically retrieves all your AWS resources. And discovery of new and deleted resources. It detects when new resources are created and when others are removed, and it keeps your inventory up to date. Then we have continuous configuration recording. It monitors and records changes to your resources in real time. Another thing is change notification. It alerts you when your resource configurations are changed. It's useful for compliance and troubleshooting. Compliance evaluation, it compares current configurations against internal policies using config rules. Another thing is historical analysis. It provides detailed timelines and snapshots of how resources were configured at a certain point in time. All right. Config helps you gain visibility, accountability, and control over your cloud environment. It is a very essential for security, governance, and operational stability. How config works? Let's see how config works. So number one, here we have configuration changes that occur in your AWS resource. So a resource, say like our EC2 instance that is in the private subnet, maybe has been created, okay, and it is in the private subnet. So AWS config records the change. It will record, it will capture and normalize into a consistent format stored in an S3 bucket. So once anything that changes, it's actually recorded. Now, the other thing that happens is, and the records are stored in an S3 bucket. And then we have rules evaluation. So config will automatically evaluate your changes against the defined config rules. AWS sends configuration rules and compliance change notifications to an Amazon SNS topic. So let's say something changed in your EC2 instance. So what it will do, number one, it will actually get to know what changed, and then it's going to alert you using an SNS topic. So when you're coming to learn about SNS, you're going to learn that you create topics. So imagine a topic is like when someone sends you a message, say like you receive an M-Pesa message. What's the topic that comes on top is to show you that this is an M-Pesa message. It will come with the name M-Pesa, but it's from Safaricom. If Safaricom is sending you promotional messages, they can either use a topic like Safaricom in capital letters, and another one they use is for Safaricom in small letters. You get? So imagine that is an SNS topic. So if they realize that your M-Pesa balance has changed, you've received 15,000 from Join Arrow, your M-Pesa itashtuka, and it's going to tell you your SNS your config itashtuka, and then it's going to tell you that Daniel Musembe, you have received 15,000 from Join Arrow, and it's going to come there as an M-Pesa topic. So that's how it works. And then now the fifth thing that works is you receive the notification through an SNS alert. You can receive them, I said, either as a message or as an email. And then you can access the change history and compliance results through the AWS Config console or APIs. So those are the ways that you can access the changes. Right. Are you guys with me? If you're with me, give me a thumbs up. I know I'm not talking alone. I'm with Amy. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Perfect. So let's get to see about the config security capabilities. All right, AWS Config. Thank you, Ridge. AWS Config helps you monitor, evaluate, and troubleshoot your AWS environment to meet your security and compliance goals. The key functions are vulnerability detection. So it ensures that it monitors your resources, usage, and configuration changes to identify potential security risks. For example, your database is in the EC2 private on the private subnet, and you get to realize that at maybe midnight we received something changed on our subnet. It actually was assigned a public IP address. Eh? Imagine this, the shock that you're going to have. Then you can use CloudTrail to tell you who logged into your console, or using your SDK or CLI, who changed. It's going to track your call. So it's going to actually help you a lot by getting to detect vulnerabilities. For example, like a public IP in a private subnet is a big vulnerability. Number two, the second key security function is it uses role-based evaluation. So it continuously checks resources against your defined security, prevention, and compliance rules. So if you said that an EC2 instance in a private subnet should not have a public IP, it will continuously monitor your private subnet. If at all it changes and gets a public IP, you're notified. So that's the third function, security notifications, by sending you SNS alerts when a configuration violates a rule. All right. Then this ensures that the rapid response. So the moment you receive an email from config that your settings for this private subnet has changed, you're going to patch that up. And then the next one is historical security analysis. It lets you view your it lets you review your past configurations to investigate security incidences or assess the posture of your security analysis. And finally, it helps you with troubleshooting. by pinpointing out misconfigurations and showing you the historical IAM policies, EC2 security, group roles, if anything changed. So those are the security functions of AWS config. Let's learn something about the roles. Well, a role defines a desired configuration state for AWS resources. It continuously evaluates whether your resources comply with that state. So this is a state we've said we want a state where our public subnet IP, our instances hosted there, should not have a public IP, or our S3 bucket should not be publicly accessible, right? So this role is going to be what your resource compliance is actually based on. All right. And there are two types of roles. We have a managed role and a custom role. And we said that a managed role is predefined by AWS for common best practices. For example, by ensuring the most common one is, for example, like ensuring an S3 bucket public read is prohibited. This ensures that your S3 bucket will not be accessible publicly. Then another rule is the custom rule, where it's authored using AWS Lambda to define a custom logic for evaluation. So you can say, I have this S3 bucket. For example, let's say I have a video store. Guys, if you hear gunshots, kindly ignore. So let's say I have an online video store like Netflix, all right? Then I'm storing my videos on an S3 bucket. I need this S3 bucket to be accessible to people who are coming to my video store to buy and watch videos. So here I will not use the prohibit public read apana. What I'll do, I'll create my custom rule and say ensure that this bucket with my Netflix movies remains publicly accessible. So anytime it gets private, I'll be notified. So you're the one who authors the rule, and you can do this. You can write the rule using AWS Lambda. All right. So the rules are invoked automatically during continuous assessment, and you can view a dashboard and see the compliance results and identify the configuration changes that might actually concern you about your resources. All right. So I think we are done with that. We have learned about config managed roles. Very nice. So guys, let's go onyo hadi kwa the next topic. Do you guys have a question on config? Have you guys understood? If you've understood, let me know in the chat. Just type understood so that I know who I was with in class. Perfect, Musimbi. Awesome. Musembi has understood. Ivy the same. Alfat, Amy, Sandra, Tony. Tony, how are you? You're very quiet. Fan has understood. Salem, how are you? Naboth has understood. Very nice. Frank, amazing. Abby, very good. Prudence, very nice. Chelsea and Justin. So, what did you take out about config? What did you understand about config? before we move on next, what did you understand about config? Let me know. You can just unmute or type before we move to the next thing. Okay, Gideon is saying it monitors and records AWS resource configurations. Yes. And if the configuration changes, what happens? Answers Nizagidere. What happens if a configuration changes? Frank, githeri is a food type. It's type of food in Kenya, a mixture of beans and maize. So the answers are for githeri. So what happens if a configuration changes? Yes, it alerts you with SMS, email, or message. Yes, it sends you a notification through the yes. It alerts you via email or SMS using SNS. All right. All right. Perfect. Very nice. Now, let's move on to response. Just a second. Right. So in the morning you don't have a lab. You have a lab in the afternoon. All right, let's go to responses. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break later on. Nabo, cheka tu, tutakupea mandizi hata wewe Habakuk, nitakupea mandizi. Even if all of you while you're laughing, you eat bananas, I won't be alone. Sawa tu. You know I'm growing old. I have a lot of gray hair. So kindly forgive my slip of the tongue. It comes with old age. All right. So let's go to responses. Now here, we have a car with a flat tire. So imagine that you're driving on a highway and suddenly you hear a loud noise. You feel your car start to swerve. What will you do next? Now, people, tell me what you will do. You're driving, right? And you're on a highway. You hear a bang, and then your car starts swerving. What do you do? I'll say for the ladies, screaming, of course. Screaming number one. What will you guys do? All right. Maybe sasa kwa driving ni mbaya. Hi, Habakuk. Eh? Wewe una give up haraka aje na hii maisha? You can't fight for your life. Eh? Or you're driving and then you see your tire has left your car and is running. It's actually running faster than your car, and you're left there with three wheels. All right. So what will you do next? Number one, you pull off the road before Habakkuk goes to pray for lunch in heaven. You turn on indicators. All right, Clinton. Kindly teach us. some of us have been seeing driving school passing by, but unaulizwa hazard ama indicator. I think it should be hazard. All right, should be your hazard lights. It's okay, Clinton. It's okay. There's no wrong answer here. At least, I'm happy with Clinton. He has not given up faster with life like my good friend here, Habakkuk. Huh? You cannot fight. Unataka kuenda mbinguni, hakuna kuenda. Tunabaki hapa kwa hii economy, tunalamba glucose, tunaendelea. So Habakkuk, number 1, umeambiwa before you go praying for lunch, turn on your hazard, pull off the road, stop the car, get out and inspect the car, see that you have a flash tire, notify your employer, your family friend that you'll be late, replace the flat tire with a spare tire, call the garage to fix or replace the tire, resume your journey, drive carefully and more slowly. After you get a new tire, maybe think about what happened. Did I pay enough attention to what was on the road? Was the tire too old? Should I switch to another brand of tires? Right? So you're responding to the event that has happened to you, responding to this event that happened to you, all right? And this analogies between a flat and security incident. So the very first thing that you'd do, just like pulling off the road and stopping the car, contain the incident, isolate the affected systems or prevent further damage. For example, you can try disconnect compromised devices from the network. Another thing is preserve the evidence, avoid wiping logs or data that could help with investigation. Then here you've said you notify your family that you'll be late. Imagine now your wife was waiting for you to go on a date and you're already 15 hours late. Imagine the type of anger. Utaangaliwa na hiyo macho Musimbi alikuwa anasema hapo juu. So notify the key stakeholders, alert your security team, IT department, and your leadership. Report to the external parties required, for example, depending on the severity, notify regulators, customers, and partners. For example, like when KRA was hacked, their X account was hacked, they notified you guys that our customer support handle has been hacked. All right. So this is the second part of notifying your key stakeholders. The very first thing they did maybe was to tell you, do not talk to those people, do not interact with the account. It's hacked. So they're containing the incidents. And then the second thing is to notify you guys that you've been hacked. We believe it's by these people. This happened at what time. And then the third thing that you can try and do is business continuity. Like you drive slowly, you use a new, you fix the or replace the tire, you drive slowly going to wherever you are going, you take note of what is on the road, all right? And you prioritize essential services like focusing on maintaining the core business function. For example, when the KRAX handle was hacked, they told you raise your concerns on this other handle, all right, for the business continuity. And we're going to learn more about BCP later on. And then get to understand the root cause or analysis and prevention. Just as you're reflecting on the cause of the flat tire, investigate the incident. Determine how the breach occurred. Was it an outdated software? Was it a weak password? Was it phishing? Assess the vulnerabilities. Conduct scans to audit and identify potential risks. And then implement safeguards. Patch your systems, update your policies, train your staff, you know. And then now finally, you recover to normal. So restore the normal systems that you're using, rebuild and rebuild or clean affected machines, restore data from backups, monitor closely, watch out for signs of reinfection or lingering threats, and review and improve your security by, updating your response plan based on the lessons you've learned. Now, let's see about process planning for event response. So, when an event occurs, ensure that you have automatic notifications telling you, hi Ridge, no Chelsea, hi Chelsea, your house has been infiltrated by a man called Ridge. You're going to receive a message, all right, on your email or message, SMS. So when an event occurs, ensure that you have automatic notifications. Then investigate the event. Who is Rage? Where is he from? Who is he to me? Then respond and remediate. All right. So Rage has gone to my house and he has cooked and everything. So what can I do next? Number one, call the police. Check the CCTVs. That's investigative event. Check the CCTVs for respond. Call the caretaker, call the police, call 911, all right? Then notify dependent stakeholders. Call your housemates, tell them, hi guys, our house had an infiltrator. He's called Ridge. He has eaten 5 eggs and made tea with 2 packets of milk. Then act to prevent this type of event happening. So what happens next? Now, Chelsea, buy a new lock, maybe a smart lock as well. Have your biometrics in place in your house. All right. So this could be the stages of a typical response to a malicious event. Rage, we are not calling you malicious. We are just using your name for the purpose of learning. All right. And it is quite common that you might not be able to conceive every disaster. For example, AWS did not know that their US East 1 region will go down. They did not have any idea, all right? So it is difficult for you to plan for every conceivable disaster. It might also be expensive. For example, you guys in the houses that you sleep in, have you ever really thought that thieves might come to my house? Maybe you're checking your cat TV, you're checking your Katululu there, you see, there's no thief who can steal this. You cannot conceive disaster, all right? Not every disaster that you can conceive. But however, it's good to identify and document the different types of disasters that are present and a real threat to your business. So in case if your business runs on the internet, you might be hacked. All right. So these are things that you should be able to plan for. So let's go to BCP. Then later we're going to learn a little bit about disaster recovery. Now, these are questions that you will find all through from AWS CCP certification to solutions architect, because it's a very big major factor in every organization. It's good to prepare for disaster. When disaster occurs, it's good to prepare. It's good to prepare before. It's good to prepare during. It's good to prepare after. All right. So let's learn a little bit about BCP and DRP. Let's get to see the difference between these two. So a critical aspect about in managing your business is creating strategies to help you prepare for any event that will disrupt the way your business functions normally. There are 2 strategies that you can take. There's the BCP. This is how to run the business in a reduced capacity in case there's an event, there's a disaster happening. All right. So BCP tells you, like, let's say in our e-commerce store, we have been hacked and people cannot pay through our e-commerce platform. We can tell them, just go to the e-commerce site and send us your order to this WhatsApp number and pay through this WhatsApp, through this M-Pesa number. All right. So even if our site has been hacked, we can run our business in a reduced capacity. And then the second thing is DRP. This is how to recover from an outage or loss and return to the normal situation as quickly as possible. All right. So BCP, the main focus is on maintaining operations at a reduced capacity during disruption. And its main goal is to ensure that critical services are running continuously. For DRP, BCP is business continuity plan, all right? DRP is disaster recovery plan, and its main function is to restore the systems and data after disruption. And its main goal is to return to full operations as quick as possible. All right. Are you guys with me? So let's go ahead and learn about BCP. So BCP is right. BCP is a preventative and a proactive strategy that outlines how your business will continue operating during and after a disruption. It is not activated during an outage, but prepared for in advance to guide decisions when disruptions occur. A good example of BCP, when it's like now when KRA account was hacked, you see, they did not stop customer service completely. What they did, they had another handle that was taking care of the customer questions. Okay, so they were running, even if it was in a smaller scale than what they used to on their main X handle. All right. So BCP, you do not have to, BCP should be there, it should be ready. In case there's this disaster going on, you're going to do this to run the organization, even if it's in a smaller scale, and you have to prepare for it in advance. All right. The core components of BCP is number one, disaster scenarios. All right. So list the different disaster scenarios that might affect your business. For example, failed disk, failed server, failed database, communication lines failure, fire or flood, power outage, earthquakes, um, or evacuation due to safety risks. And then for each scenario includes impact on operation, security implications, and recovery options. And then the second thing is uh, minimal operations requirements. So what actions can be taken to run the organization in a minimal operations? So the BCP defines what must remain functional. For example, online systems. For example, like now for KRA, they must have had another handle that could take care of the customer support. Ensure that you have communication tools. Another thing is servers and network drives. So you can even have a server that's running awaiting disaster, all right? And also for network drives. Key personnel and roles. So for example, like you guys, when we had COVID during the pandemic, right? Some organizations had to minimize the number of employees they have. A few will go to the office and most would stay at home. So maybe you'd get like an office like a bank, say like a bank would have, if a bank normally has 1,500 employees at a given time, and the pandemic has come, what we can do, we can say, let us just have 30 employees working. So those are like two tellers, one accountant, maybe the HR can work from home, maybe the security guards, So the key personnel and their roles, let list them and why they're important. And finally, secure systems and access controls. Remember, you want to prevent another event from happening. Then the third thing is security prioritization. Identify which systems and data must remain secure. All right. Define access protocol and fallback authentication methods. So in case now, because we have maybe one security guard working, how will the security guard know that these are the 30 who have been chosen, so they can have maybe RFIDs, or special cards? Another thing is prioritize protection of customer data, learner credentials, and storefront transactions. All right. The purpose of BCP is to maintain critical service during disruptions. So in case there's an event happening, there's an attack, or maybe there are floods, or there's corona, the key is to ensure that critical services are running without disruptions. And another thing is to ensure survivability. Remember that in 2020, 2021, a lot of organizations fell under because they couldn't survive. All right. So by having a BCP plan, you ensure survivability of operations and minimize downtime and confusion. All right. So BCP major thing, remember this as, for example, when it was raining and our power got cut short, our BCP plan was at least have our phones, we can meet on the phone, we can have our plans on the we can use our Zoom on our phones, all right? So BCP is ensuring that we do not stop completely when there is disaster. Now, let's see about planning for disaster recovery. All right. Disaster recovery plan is a reactive strategy that guides a business how to restore systems and data after disruption. All right. So its major goal is to restore business functionality quickly. The security goal is to lower the level of controls or safeguards that are not to lower the levels of control or safeguards that are in place. And follow-on goal is to prevent this threat from exploiting or disaster from happening again. So the primary goal is to restore business functionality quickly with minimal impact. The security goal is maintain or reestablish original security controls and safeguards. And follow-on goal is to prevent recurrence of the threat, exploit, or disaster. All right. Now, this is something that you'll definitely find in your exam. All right. The difference between, and even in a lot of interviews that you'll go that are for cloud roles, you will be asked about RPO and RTO. All right. And I've been asked this question in a few interviews. All right. Let's learn the difference between RTO and RPO. RTO is the recovery time objective. This means the maximum acceptable downtime before operations must resume. The lower the RTO, the faster the recovery, but also the higher the cost. All right. And then we have RPO. RPO is recovery point objective. This is a maximum acceptable data loss that a business can afford to lose. All right, and it is measured in time. The lower the RPO, more frequent backups, therefore means the higher storage cost. Now, RPO majorly it's for backups. That's why you'll find, for example, like you guys, let me ask you, all of you here, you have WhatsApp, okay? And because you have WhatsApp, do you do your backup? How often do you do your backups? Able take for me on the chat. How often? Check your chat backup. How often is it set to? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? Daily, all right. All right, Habakkuk. Prudence, never. You do not care about your people. When history is history, right? Other people, you people, you don't back up now both daily, all right? Justin, daily at 2 a.m., all right? Fun, never. You people, you're good risk takers. I should be your friends. Interesting. Mine is set to every week. And the reason why we have backups is because, for example, imagine, let's take a good example of Fan, who never backs up. Okay? Fan says, me, I do not need to back up my WhatsApp. Kwani iko shida. Read you back up daily, all right? So Fan says, there's no point of backing up my WhatsApp. What's the point anyway? Right? So God forbid this happens. Fan loses her phone. Maybe someone snatches it. Maybe she's going to the beach. No, she's going for a holiday at the beach, right? And unfortunately, she falls on the water, or maybe the waves carry her and her phone. And her phone cannot. Fan hana fans. Aya, arrange tafutia fan mtu. Right? And say, maybe the waves carry her phone, and now she doesn't have a phone, so she cannot access her WhatsApp. So when she goes to buy another phone and installs WhatsApp, because she's never backed up, she's going to have a brand new WhatsApp with no chats whatsoever. Why? Because she never backed up. But then, me back up once a week. All right. Same case scenario. Let's say it happens to me, and I back up once a week. This means I lose this. I think mine backs up, I think, on Sunday, if I'm not wrong. Some funny day there. Let's choose Sunday. So this means that today is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday. All right, today is on Tuesday. So this means that I'm going to lose the data from Sunday, midnight, Monday, Tuesday. All right. Yeah, Patrick, even you. Same WhatsApp group. So, so me, I'm going to lose 3 days worth of data. Now, Rage backs up his data every day, all right? Now, Rage will not have a lot of data lost. His RPO is so low, it's at maybe minutes, all right? So that's the difference between our recovery point of objective. Fan will lose all her data because she doesn't back up. Joy will lose 3 days worth of data. I am comfortable with losing 3 days worth of data. All right. Rage will lose maybe minutes or hours. How many hours is it from 2 p.m. 2 a.m.? Around like maybe 4 hours or 6. So maybe Rage will lose 6 hours of data because he has not backed up using during these 6 hours. Clinton, be nice. Clinton, be nice. Be nice. Patrick, you're going to lose all your data. Shauri yako, mi at once usiniombe WhatsApp messages. Right? I can remember I was asking my mom for photos. Imagine fan, it's true. It's recovery point objective. Hata sio mimi nimesema. Ni recovery iko hapa kwa notes. Unaona? Recovery point objective. How much time and data can the business afford to lose fun? Eh? All right. So that's the difference between RTO and RPO. Could we say that Meta runs a cron job for us to auto backup to happen exactly at 2 a.m. for Reggie's case? Yes, maybe for example, if they're using cron jobs, yes, they might use cron jobs, but it might be easier. Meta has its own. Does Meta have its own cloud? If it was in the AWS, maybe it could be running for you on the systems manager. People, 24 hours mko na bidii. imagine read kila time watumiwe, right? So remember guys, we've said RTO, the maximum acceptable downtime before operations must return. A good RTO is like for Safaricom when they're doing their updates, right? What they say is, guys, we are going to be updating our systems from midnight to 1 a.m. So all M-Pesa transactions, buying credit, buying data bundles, buying anything through Safaricom and M-Pesa will be out of work for the 1 hour, all right, from midnight to 1 a.m. So their recovery time objective is that 1 a.m. Their return to work is faster. They would rather not lose a whole like 6 hours for updates or backups or anything, right? So I hope you guys have understood the difference. Let's go to disaster recovery, understanding RTO and RPO. All right. Let me just try and explain as simply as possible. So RTO, this is a recovery time objective. This is a maximum acceptable delay between interruption of services and restoration of services. The RTO determines the acceptable length of time for service downtime. The focus is on time to recover. All right. The impact is it determines how quickly systems must be restored to avoid unacceptable disruptions. So RTO, it's about the time. How soon can we go back to work? For example, the RTO of our lecturers in public unis. Unfortunately, 7 months down the line, their RTO is not yet. So it could be the RTO of lecturer strike. It could be 1 year before maybe they get sit down to the government, right? And then we have RPO. RPO is a maximum acceptable amount of time. The maximum acceptable amount of time since the last data recovery point, and this is the maximum acceptable time since the last backup. So we've seen others back up after 24 hours, others back up once a month, others back up after 1 week, others never back up. All right. So the focus here is not on time to recover, but the data loss tolerance. How much amount of data are you willing to lose? Me, I'm willing to lose a whole week's worth of data. Patrick and Fan are willing to lose all their data. Ridge is willing to lose just hours of data, all right? And determines how much data can be lost before recovery becomes acceptable, all right? Let's do a small comparison. A good example by the of real world examples of RPO and RTO. All right, a good example is, remember we said at the beginning of our lessons, we have our e-commerce store, all right? Now, on our store, we are selling clothes, right? It's an online boutique. So we can say our RTO is, let's put it at 1 hour because we are going to the festive season, right? We say, in case maybe the server is down, maybe our database maybe has an issue, maybe we were hacked, our RTO should be nothing less than an hour. So this will ensure that if our e-commerce store is hit by an event, we have 1 hour to resume to normal business operations. That's RTO. RPO is, we can say, we back up our database after every 30 minutes, right? So we can say our RPO ensures that the amount of data that we can lose is just 30 minutes of data. And a user who was using was on our e-commerce store an hour ago, his data was already backed up, so we have the transactions ready, all right? And we can be able to now go back to our backup and restore our normal functionalities. Now remember, we said the lower the RTO or RPO, the higher the cost and complexity. Why? If you have a lower RTO, it means that you have maybe a system going on that you can use maybe for recovery. RPO, you're backing up your data every single time. So maybe these people who back up their data, their WhatsApp data every day, maybe they're the ones who pay 27 bob a month for Google Drive, right? So the lower the RPO or RTO, the higher the cost, but also the safer your organization is. If we compare RPO to RTO, in terms of data, RPO, the recovery point objective, it focuses on data, and its main goal is on the maximum acceptable time between the last backup and the disruption. The impact is it determines how much data loss you're willing to tolerate. For RTO, we said that it focuses on infrastructure, so the maximum amount of time it will take you to restore systems after disruption. And the impact is determines how quickly systems must be recovered. All right. RPO is easier to implement because it only affects the data layer. All right, that's the backup frequency. For example, the backup frequency. RTO is more complex because it involves the entire full infrastructure recovery. For example, now the servers, the database, the applications, the networks. RTO is more complex. Now, the sooner the business must get back online, the costlier it will be. We said the lower the RPO, the lower the RTO, the more costlier it is. Recovery involves the entire business infrastructure. So we've said for RTO, it's the entire business infrastructure. Now, let's learn something about supporting concepts when it comes to RPO and RTO. Now, we have work recovery time, all right? This is the time required to restore data, test systems, and resume production after infrastructure is recovered. It follows RTO in the recovery timeline. So, for example, someone hacked into our database. Work recovery time is this time that is required, number one, to restore our data from maybe our backup database. We test the systems if they are working perfectly with the new database, and resumed back to systems production. That is the work recovery time. All right. And then we have the maximum tolerable downtime. This is the total amount of time a business can be disrupted without unacceptable consequences. For example, we said for our e-commerce store is 30 minutes, and it has a formula. The maximum tolerable downtime is equals to RTO plus work recovery time. So let's say our RTO, we said we are backing up our data after every 30 minutes, all right? So we are backing up our database after every 30 minutes. And maybe our work recovery time, we are saying it might take us maybe 15 minutes to restore the data. Maybe have our data backup on to restore our data, and maybe 10 minutes. So maybe maybe 15 minutes to restore our data, 10 minutes to test the systems. So that's 25 minutes, and to resume production. So give it maybe a roughly figure of maybe 30 minutes. So our RTU is 30 minutes and our work recovery time is 30 minutes. So this means that our maximum tolerable downtime is 30 minutes plus 30 minutes. So it's a total of 60 minutes or 1 hour. Have you guys understood? Have you guys understood? Are you guys with me? Hey, you people, you are a tough crowd, a very tough crowd. Very nice, very nice. Perfect, perfect. So let's go on a break. Let's go on a 30 minutes break. We come at 11 and we finish up on the next 15 pages. See you at 11 a.m. Kindly grab yourself a big mug of tea, uji, or if you're fancy, any carbonated drink that you want, as long as you won't sleep in the class. Thank you so much. Very nice, you people. That's a good number. Welcome, Basil. You've been there. You didn't have uji to take?
Nilikuwa nishakunywa chai, so niko tu hapa.
Oh, sawa. Ulikuwa umejisort kitambo?
Yeah.
All right. Mary, welcome back. Msembi, ninakuona ulikuwa hapo keeping ma 1212. Navoth, welcome back. Elfas, you are here. Ama uko na mtu anakuletea chai mahali huko. You know some people are lucky. Welcome Ivy, welcome Gail. Gail, you've been here. Do you have someone to serve you chai wherever you are? Oh, Rich, you've also been here. Oh, someone is bringing for you uji wherever you are. Welcome Frank, Amy. Amy, ninakushuku. Amy, ninakushuku. Welcome Purity, welcome Fan, welcome Kevin. Welcome Chelsea. Hey, Musembi. Hey. Sandra, please say that you're back. Welcome, Justin. Sandra, please, I want this boy child to concentrate in class. We need to take care of every member of this class. Ndo kuingia, karibu. Kijana alikuwa anakuulizia. And I had to make sure that uko around. Karibu sana. We are happy to have you back. At least now we know Musembi will concentrate in class. Is Leonard Boma in class today? Kuna freelance job inamgojea na sijui mbona na sleki. Musimbi, at least hauoni dust. You're not being shown dust. Welcome, Justin. Right. So, guys, let's run. Wait, let us not run. Kindly don't run away. Let's learn about disaster recovery, the options that we have. Kai, You people, you're laughing. Guy. Who do I have here? Kuna mtu mwenye anaona. You know I am your elder. Eh? And you're laughing at me. You're not scared of curses, you people. Don't run away from me. Let's learn. Naboth nakuona. Oh, thank you, Gideon. Everybody be like a Gideon. Thank you, Gideon. I made a mistake and ate a banana. Now, and you know, bananas make people shema. All right. Let us continue with disaster recovery options. Ai fancy hata wewe unajua coast huwa tunasema ndizi inafanya mtu anashema. All right. So what are the options that you can use when we are trying to recover from disasters? So fun. Before you go to my bananas. Number one, traditionally backup. All right. So the more you back up, it ensures that you don't lose your data. It's important for long-term storage, but here is the thing. When it comes to restoration, it is very slow. Do you guys actually, I don't know if you guys, you've tried backup and restoring your WhatsApp. How long does it take? Because mine takes approximately like, I don't know, like 2 business days. Yeah. So backup, it is good for long-term storage. The recovery speed is a bit slow, and we have replication. All right. So replication means we have, say for example, we have two types of replications. We have snapshot based and we have continuous. So snapshot is like you see our database every time, maybe at around 11 a.m. Ridge ni sawa sisi wa 510 mbps tumenyamaza. Okay, so for snapshot based is you have a database and you can say every day at around 11 I'll be coming to take a snapshot of my database as it is. All right, or my EC2 instance configurations the way it is, you can take a snapshot. And then there's continuous replication, where whatever you're doing, for example, if you are having a continuous replication of this Zoom call, whatever we are doing will be replicated on another server or in another region or in another availability zone exactly the way we are doing, right? Something like the metaverse, multiverse, right? Then we have Pilot Lite. Now, Pilot Lite is having a minimal version of your environment always running on the cloud. So a good example could be, let's imagine that we have something like our e-commerce site, and we can have a Pilot Lite version of it running on an EC2 instance. So in case our personal server fails, what we can do, we can go directly to our EC2 server that's running our minimal version of our EC2 of our website of our e-commerce. So let's see the different technologies that AWS have given us for disaster recovery. Let me see. Before we go there, let me just read this Araka. So for backup, we've said that it is for long-term storage. the recovery speed is slow, and the cost is also basically very low. The use case, you can use it to archive your data. Remember we said that S3. Do you remember we said something like Glacier? Who can remember Glacier? We said that Glacier is for what? Somebody give the answers. S3 Glacier. S3 Glacier is what? Yes, data stored for a long-term storage. It's called archival. Archiving your data. You can archive your data for 10 years, 50 years, 30 years, all right? So backups are good for archival, and they're also very good for full infrastructure recovery. And then we have for the snapshot based replication, the purpose is to have incremental data capture. You said like this is taking a snapshot of your database. Say, I can take a snapshot of my database as it is, say at 11 a.m. And tomorrow, if in case maybe at 10 I get an issue, I'll just recover from my snapshot of 11. But there, a very good example of a snapshot is I like to think of it as a screenshot. So you see the way you'll be reading something and then you say, quite informative piece. Let me screenshot. All right. So it's the same way as maybe a snapshot would be. And it's for incremental data capture. So you'll be building up on it. So instead of having, you see, for data backup, like I understand Patrick saying that it took a bit of his storage space. What you can do now, instead of now having to back up everything all the time, you see WhatsApp, what it does is backup. So it's going to take all your messages as they are and back up at 2 a.m. Then tomorrow at 2 a.m., it's also then going to do the same thing. Take all your data and back it up. But now for for snapshot, if your backup is at 2 a.m., you take a snapshot at 2 a.m. And then tomorrow at 2 a.m., whatever you did not snapshot yesterday, you snapshot it for today and add it to your snapshot. Okay? So you're not repeating the whole process of backup. It is like incremental data capture. And the recovery speed is a bit moderate because you need now to recover from the snapshots, and the cost is also quite moderate. For the use case, it is used for periodic recovery, rollback to non-states. And you're going to learn about snapshots when you get to EBS, when we get to RDS, right? And then we have continuous replication. So continuous replication is real-time data sync. So what does real-time data sync? We have an application called data sync, a service called data sync. Imagine this as, for example, I don't want to think like banks use this. So anytime I actually think of the best example that's coming to my mind is a bank where it has real-time data sync. Like, have you ever guys gone to your ATM and withdrew cash? Say you withdraw 10,000 shillings and then check your balance on your M-Pesa on your mobile banking. It will reflect the balance immediately that you withdrew 10,000 a second ago, and it is instant. The data is synchronized, all right? So here, as time is progressing, you're just replicating your data as time is going. So the best thing about this is that recovery is fast, but now the cost is super high, and there is near zero data loss. This is very important for like financial institutions, communication institutions like Safaricom, even governments, by the way. We might not know, but even governments, they do not want to lose any data. And then finally, we have the Pilot Lite, which is a minimal version of your live environment. And it is fast to recover. You can recover your data extremely fast because there's an instance of your application that is running, say in the cloud, all right? Just a minimal version of it. So what you do, you just go and make it to be like the main application when your application goes down. The cost is relatively moderate and it is critical for applications that are or services that are always running. Okay. For example, like for hospitals, you cannot expect a hospital system to be down. Okay. An example of backup, it's like now the WhatsApp I gave you, or those of us who have hard disk. I've told you guys, I have several gray hairs. So I'm from the olden days. We had something called hard drives. Huh? Most people, I know you people here, you might even not know what hard drives are. We had hard drives. I don't know, Gideon, for sure. I don't know. So we had hard drives. We'd go and copy our folders there, all of them, our images. And also another thing that we back up. See, you guys, you back up your Google photos every day. Eh? Continuous backup. And it is very cost effective and simple, although the recovery process is slow. An example of snapshot that I gave you is for ABS. ABS, guys, tell me, what is ABS? I told you yesterday. What is ABS? Yes, it's storage for EC2. Very good. Gideon. Unahitaji kikombe ya chai wewe. Wewe, wewe, you good. Yes, EBS is storage ya EC2 instances. And RDS is who can tell me what RDS? I also mentioned RDS. What is RDS? My guys, what is RDS? Eish, people. If it was Kahoot, mngekuwa mmeansa nyinyi wote. You could have answered all of it if it was Kahoot. What is RDS? My guys, what is RDS? I mentioned it here. And I said RDS is Relational Database Service. It's a database for, yes, and a relational database service. Good girl, Sandra. Musembi, kindly clap for Sandra. So RDS is Relational Database Service. And RDS and ABS, they take snapshots, okay? And I told you an example, think of a snapshot like a screenshot, but that you keep on adding. So you take a snapshot, say like at 11:19, and tomorrow at 11:19, whatever you'll not have snapshotted now for yesterday, you take a snapshot and add it to the snapshots that you have. And continuous replication, an example, we have a very good service. Team, is it Team Fire that you guys are teaching database? Is it Team Fire? Fire. So you guys, as you're doing database, you're going to come across DMS, database migration service. This is a very interesting service. So what it does, it helps you you see, as for example, like now the banks, the database is always changing, right? The data in the database is always changing. So maybe adding data, maybe querying data, you know. So what it does, it can have like maybe another database on the, maybe it has a database on the local host, on their on-prem, and then they have another database running on the cloud, right? So what it can do, we can use DMS to transfer this data from the on-prem to the cloud instantly. So it is always copying data to the cloud, always copying data to the cloud. and that's a very, very important service. So that's a good example of continuous replication. And an example of pilot light strategy is the way I told you that we can have our application running on our on-prem or on another server, and the same version or a very lighter version of the application running maybe on an EC2 instance. And in case of a disaster, we just um, we just we just promote the EC2 instance application to be the main application available to our users. Let's learn something about cost balancing. So here we're going to check at the cost versus the recovery time, the trade-offs that you have to take. It's actually going to be quite interesting. And you're going to learn something. Let me see if it's here. Yes. So you're going to learn about these recovery options right here. So a cold site, a warm site, a hot site, and redundant site. Those people who are planning to do solutions architecting, and yes, especially solutions architecting and maybe a little bit of cloud ops, you need to know these things, all right? The longer disruption is permitted to continue, the more costly it can be for the business and its operations. A trade-off exists between the recovery and the cost. Okay, so let's see what options we have when it comes to cost versus recovery. So we can have cold site. All right, cold site. The recovery time can be around days or weeks. Okay, and the cost is very minimal, very minimal. For example, like here we have like $1, and the description is infrastructure is available but not pre-configured. It requires setting up before use. When I was learning about this, for me to understand this is what I understood about call site. You guys, do you remember when you were doing your labs, for example, each time we had to set up an EC2 instance so that we can download a key pair, so that we can SSH into our server, and then we can do something. And for every lab, you had to launch an instance. You had to go through the entire process of launching an instance. Do you guys remember? So that's a good example of a cold site. It means infrastructure, yes, it's available. EC2 instances, EC2 is there, the AWS cloud is there, but you cannot use instances because they are not yet launched. So you need to go configure your instance, launch it, download the key pair, SSH, and then you can use it. You see, it takes quite a time. Okay. Now, when it comes to calls, now imagine that being like a call site. You have an application, our e-commerce site, and we want to maybe recover on AWS EC2 when we have a disaster. So what we'll have, maybe when it comes to call site, we know that we want to use EC2. We know that we want to use Amazon Linux. We want to use maybe a PEM key because we have Linux, or a PPK because we have Windows, SSH, install our application and the dependencies and everything there, do test, go live. See, it takes quite a while. All right. So the infrastructure, yes, is available, but you need to configure it before you use it. And then we have warm site. Warm site can take between hours and a day. Remember, cold site was taking days to weeks. Days, my guy, days to weeks. But warm site, you can take hours to a whole day. So here you have a partially configured infrastructure or environment with some live data, it is a bit faster than cold site. So imagine maybe you have an AMI that so you guys, you see the way you are tired of every time having to go launch an instance. It's the same instance that you're using, but every single day you need to launch it. What you can do if you want to now have a pre-configured EC2 instance that you can just launch in an instance, what you can do is you can create an AMI. So create a snapshot of your configurations of your EC2 instance, and then create an AMI from there. And remember, we said it's an image. So you're creating an image from your configurations. So what you do, instead of now having to go and create your EC2 instances from scratch, you just go and upload your AMI during instance launch. And this one will launch for you an instance like the exact same one that you have, and it has, even you can have it like, you can even have like some data on your EBS that you can use. So warm site is a bit faster than cold site, but remember, you still have to go through the process when like you're going to your console, you're launching, you go to launch, and then that's when you're going to choose your AMI. You wait for it to finish launching, and then now you can use. You see, it can take quite some time. That's why it can take hours to days, and it can be a bit costly because you need money to have like the AMIs and stuff. In fact, some people even sell AMIs. And then we can have hot site. All right. Now, hot site, it takes between minutes to hours, and it's a bit costlier than than warm site. So this ensures that you have a fully operational duplicate of your production, and you can use it for immediate failover capability. So a hot site means that, remember I told you we can have something like a pilot slide. On our e-commerce site, we have the e-commerce site that is running, say, on maybe DigitalOcean server or Contabo server, and on the other end, we can have the same e-commerce site running on a small EC2 instance that is fully operational, even people can buy it there. All right, so that's a hot site, and this one ensures that your failover is immediate, between hours to minutes, because now if in case your application maybe in DigitalOcean fails, what you can do, you can just go to your EC2, promote this to be your main application, ensure that you maybe now maybe use a bigger instance, change the size of your instance, increase the size of your EBS volume, maybe increase the size of your RDS instance. Okay, so it can take between minutes and hours. And then we have a redundant site. So a redundant site, the failover time is near zero downtime, and it's the costliest among the four. And it ensures that you have a real-time mirrored system, and this is for high availability, and its cost is also high. So imagine this as, so we have maybe we are running our e-commerce site on maybe on region US East 1, okay? And then we can have an exactly all the characteristics, all the resources, all the sizes, they're the same as our e-commerce site. We duplicate that to maybe another region like EU West 1. So US East 1 is running the main application, and we have another failover application running in Europe EU West 1. Okay, so this one is more costly because you're paying double for all the resources. You're paying for double instances, double EBS, double RDS, double S3 buckets, But now you do not have downtime because it's already running at its fullest scale. All right, so that's the difference between cost balancing and recovery option. You just choose the one that will work for you. All right, let's see an activity over here. Who's going to read for me this lab scenario? Sandra, would you be kind enough to read for me, please? I'll make someone's day, kindly.
Okay. Lab scenario. Your data center has experienced a denial of service attack from an unknown attacker. Data network connectivity to the production logistics database is down, and voice communications are being disrupted intermittently. Someone who is taking responsibility for the attack has contacted management and is demanding payment to end the attack. You're an IT security leader who must interface with the correct internal resources to identify any damage to critical assets. You're tasked with coordinating measures to stop the attack, identify affected assets, and minimize further damage. You also must recommend controls to prevent this kind of attack from happening again. In this activity, you will work as a team to document a basic response. Be prepared to suggest and discuss additional information that these documents should capture.
All right. All right. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate. I really, really appreciate. So, as a security leader, because you guys are going to be maybe CTOs in the next few months or years, you must interface with the correct internal resources to identify any damage to critical assets. So, we need to coordinate measures to stop the attack, identify affected assets, and minimize further damage. You must also recommend controls to prevent this kind of attack. So we have a data center that has experienced a denial of service from an unknown attacker. All right. Data network connectivity to production logistics database is down, and voice communications are being disrupted intermittently. Someone who is taking responsibility for the attack has contacted the management and demanded payment to end the attack. So, people, because you are very good, Kwanza Daniel Musembi is a very good CID. What would you do? Let's discuss. Let's discuss. What will you do? People, unmute. Can I have someone read for me? Can I please have someone read for me this? So identify an incident.
Okay, I'll read.
All right, Leonard.
So identify an incident. The first step of incident response is to determine when the incident occurred. Team members make this determination by completing short checklist, which might be a series of yes or no questions. If certain answers or a minimum number of answers are yes, the team declares an incident, which initiates the incident response recovery plan. Based on the scenario of this lab, answer the following questions. Has an event occurred that will affect the company? Will the event disrupt the confidentiality, availability, or integrity of the company's assets? Which type of incident might have occurred? For example, DOS, data loss, equipment, or physical. Is the level of impact low, medium, or high? Do you believe that this company is experiencing an incident? For the DOS attack, describe which groups of managers will be appropriate to contact. Hadi hapo.
It's
Or I
okay, unaweza
continue.
malizia tu.
Okay. When an incident occurs, it is important to be able to reach needed employees. A good way to do this is to create a form that lists team members in support will contact. You can get the name, phone, and email of the persons. That is the IT supervisor, primary management, secondary management, facilities management, physical security officers of management, custom. Yeah, most organizations do not have a dedicated incident response team. This list is a sample of appropriate contacts to respond to a particular incident.
Thank you so much, Leonard. Thank you so much. And now that you're here, Leonard, our dear Esther had a question for you. I don't know if she's around. Esther? Esther, I don't know if she's around. Maybe she's not around. So, thank you for that, Leonard. Esther wanted umshikie mtu. She was asking if you're in the service.
What do you mean in the service?
Like if you're an army, police, navy, one of those. Kuna mtu anataka ashikwe mahali.
Okay.
Sijui kama kuna ka freelance job coming up.
Okay.
So wacha atakuona hapo nyuma ya tent.
Nice.
Sawa. Thank you. Can I have someone read for me the checkpoint questions? Musembi, nakuona. Can I have someone please read for me? Belinda. Belinda, are you in?
Yes, Joy, I'm in.
Would you kindly read for me the checkpoint questions and even just the answers? I think it's okay. They're just here. You can read the question and the answer.
Okay. Which types of plans are used to minimize the impact of unplanned downtime? Business community plan and disaster recovery plan. What does RTO represent? RTO represents the time that the system can be down before a business can't maintain business continuity and the business really suffers. The sooner a business must get back online, the more costly it will be. Recovery involves the entire business infrastructure. Which AWS service be used to back up data? Amazon S3 is a cloud storage service that can back up data with different levels of restoration speed and cost.
Thank you. Thank you, Belinda. Mulu, kindly read for me the key takeaways also. You have a
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.
It's okay. Planning, investigating, and remediating are key steps in effectively responding to security events. A business continuity plan (BCP) and disaster recovery plan (DRP) identify and define methods to prevent an outage and to recover as quickly as possible. AWS offers services, options, and white papers to help implement disaster recovery in a cloud-based environment. This module includes the following key takeaways. planning, investigating, and remediating are key steps in effectively responding to security events. A business continuity plan (BCP) and disaster recovery plan (DRP) identify and define methods to prevent an outage and to recover as quickly as possible. AWS offers services, options, and white papers to maintain, implement disaster recovery in a cloud-based environment.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate. So, guys, I hope you have understood about response. So, when you come back from lunchtime, you are going to learn something called analysis. All right. Now, in analysis, you're going now, you see, now you have learned how to check, detect if there's a threat. You've learned how to use CloudTrail and you've learned how to use config. Now, next, you'll come to learn about something that we call analysis. So you've already gotten the threats, you've recovered, you're back on your feet again. So now you need to analyze what happened, what can we do, what can we do to never get there. What are the lessons that we are learning? All right. Now I have a few questions. Okay. And for this one, for these questions, I actually didn't get time to make Kahoot. So I'm just going to ask you general questions. Okay. Is that okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's okay. We've finished our class, but give me a thumbs up if you'd like some general questions. All right, fine. Very nice. Very nice. In the afternoon, no, Sai. In the afternoon, we're going to learn about analysis. Sai, we relax and get to assimilate what we've learned with a few general questions here. They're not as many though. Okay. So you just unmute, guys. You unmute. Okay. You can also. I'd prefer if you unmute, but you can also, if you are not in a position to unmute, you can just type on the chat. Hi. What is the color of the blood while it's inside your body? Question. What is the color of your blood while it's inside your body? Simjibu, answer me. What's the color of your blood when it's inside your body? No using chat GPT.
It is red.
Red.
It's red.
Yeah, red.
Yeah.
You're sure?
Yeah, because
No,
of hemoglobin.
unataka ikuwe
Hebu angalieni mikono yenyu, mniambie damu yenyu kwa mkono inakaaje.
hiyo,
Damu
naona
nyeusi.
mikono ama naona damu.
Si kuna wenye wanaona damu kwa mikono. Mohamed is seeing green. Even Kevin is seeing green. Even Mary is seeing green.
Hiyo ni damu yenye ina oxygen.
Kwani hao ni binadamu ama miti?
Aish. Ai, Mary umeulizwa kama wewe ni mtu. Are you a tree? Ai, this Habakkuk black. Black. Wow. Hey, for Habakkuk is black. Anyway, the answer inside your blood, the color inside your blood is red. Whether you're seeing, got a xylem. Whether you're seeing it as green or purple, it's still red. All right, that's the reflection of the light on your skin, but it's still red. Musembi, hadi unmute Musembi. Hey, all right. Question 2. Ilibidi hadi Elfas. All right. Question 2. Justin, venye umekumbuka jina xylem limeanza kukushuku. All right. Question 2. What is the loudest animal in the world? I need you to be very specific.
A woman.
Kai,
Mwanamke amekasirika.
where babies, woman, angry dishwasher, hey jogo. Hata dishwasher ni animal kweli. Lions. I will. Belinda, me have said be specific. Elephant. Which elephant? Be specific.
Farmwell.
Jogo. Yes, it's a sperm whale, Basil. Basil is correct. Monkeys, no purity. They're actually quite not as loud. But yes, it's a sperm whale. Sperm whale are the loudest animals in the world. And there are some people who are in the sea, in the deep sea, like I think they were trying to research about maybe the Mariana Trench or something, and they were hearing waves of like like a sound vibration. And after research of many years, they came to figure out that it's a sperm whale. That even if it was so far, they would still hear it, even if they were like miles away. So the answer is a sperm whale. It's the loudest, at least the sperm whales is the loudest. Imeshinda wa mama. I'm grateful for that. At least we have something louder than us. Hata tukiwa tumekasirika kama dishwasher. All right, you guys, we see the sky as blue, but in actuality, it is which color? We see the sky as blue, but in real sense, what is its color? Hai, si muniambie. In real sense, it's still blue. No, Rage, it's not blue. Sio blue, Gideon. Mkishindwa mniambie. Colorless. No, it's not colorless. Pengine niende mountain top nione huko, bado utaona ikiwa blue, but it's not blue and it's not colorless.
Ni infra.
Ati nini Elfa, sijakuelewa?
Ni infrared.
Infrared ni type of light. Yes, it's actually purple. Yes, it's actually purple, and it's our atmosphere that makes us see it as red, but it's in actuality it's purple. Yeah, fun fact. All right. As humans, what percentage of our brain do we use? What percentage of our brain do we use?
I think it's 10%.
No, Basil. 1%, below 1%, you people. 30, 20%, no. Si tungekuwa kama konokono.
Umesema 10.
10 ni kadogo. No. We actually use 100% of our brain. Watu wa kuwatch Lucy, nyinyi ndio mnasema tunatumia 10%. Ati Lucy akitumia 100% hadi ana disappear anakuwa the universe itself. Wewe. Tunatumia 100%.
Joy uongo. Tunatumia 2%.
2% Elfas, surely. Tungeshika kweli vitu kama AI.
Hata yule chizi anatumianga 100%.
Labda Daniel umfanyie experiment, si yuko sure. I'm not so sure about your chizi. Hii wa 30 na 10 na 20. Ama ni nyinyi mmelala. Mimi am using all of mine. Ati kuna hadi watu wa 0.7. Ai, Muhammad. Be nice. Be nice. All right. All right. Ama tuseme it's relative. To activity. Okay. Nilisikia wengine wakisema ati we are all mad. It depends with our degree of madness. Well, tea for tough out here. What is what is the body's largest internal organ by weight?
The skin.
Basil, uko na skin ndani ya mwili?
Intestine.
Internal. Yes?
Sorry.
Basil, unaona sasa venye watu kuongoka exam. And I am very serious. Yes, Habakkuk. It's the liver.
The liver.
Yeah, ni liver.
Yes.
Watu wa
It's,
Kamunyeso.
nawaona.
Tuko hapa.
Watu wa Makobe. All right. Which part of the body has the most Belinda, you love laughing. That's so nice. I am so happy. What is part of the body that has the most number of bones? Mohammed, the liver is the heaviest internal organ. External ni skin, internal ni liver. Felix. The question is, which part of the body has the most number of bones? Felix.
The hand.
Yes, it's the hand. And the foot comes in next. The hand has 27, the feet has 26. Very nice, Musembi, Gail, Belinda. The body, which part of the body? And then Justin, you tell me the body. My lord, naona sasa ikikuja revision ya exams itabidi nifanye kazi kidogo. People. Yes, it's the hand with 27 bones. And Belinda, you're a fun person. Belinda, you're making us happy. All right. Now, this other fun fact is embarrassing. Humans are the only species in the world known to do this. Humans are the only species in the world known to do this. What is that we only human beings are the only ones known to do that? What is that? Lie. Lie. Surely, Justin.
To blush.
Yes, to blush.
Sandra.
Ay, my lord. Sandra, we utapumzika binguni. No, Amy, it's to blush. Suffer because of their intelligence. Ay, hey. Esther, you here. Leonard amesema ako ready for kushika mtu. Amesema anaweza kakushikia mtu. Pay tax and rent. Manze, Justin, I tell you, Aki, this life. But when I needed like a biological thing, but it's to blush. All right. What is the hardest substance in the world? Hey, cats don't blush. Yes, it's the diamond. Thank you, Justin. Sukari nguru. Ai, my lord. Chelsea, kujia mtu wako hapa anatuonesha maajabu. And then, what is the hardest thing? What is the hardest substance in the human body? A woman's heart. Hey, yes? Abby, it's not the skull. In fact, the skull is pretty fragile. Yes, you guys, it's the enamel. Mi Musembi ninaona wewe una chat GPT. Mi Musembi, I do not trust you. Sijibu, wewe una chat GPT.
Uko sure?
Yes. Ninakuona. I can see you.
Sema ni share my screen.
Hata ukishare, kwanza tutafika hapo kwa kushare. Yes, it's the enamel. All right. We share as fun. I'm also thinking at some point the man's heart is actually competing with the enamel. Juu ai gender iko na roho ngumu, my lord. Hey, this gender
Na yenu
yetu iko soft, very soft.
ulisikia wapi?
All right. We human beings share 50% of our genes with this fruit. We human beings share 50% of our genes with this fruit. Tell me. Guava, ai mirage mi sikujui. Apple, ai we. Banana, yes. Yes, Mohammed. Adi grapes. Tuko kala purple. We actually share 50% of our genes with a banana. All right, now you know. Now you know. We share 50% of our genes with a banana. What is the deepest place on Earth?
The Mariana Trench.
Yes, Mariana Trench. Habakkuk. Hey, Habakkuk. Justin, why? Ndio maana a lot. Ridge, good night. Ridge, bye. Hey, why, my lord? What is an example of a vestigial part of the body? But then I need four
Come again.
vestigial parts.
Coxswain.
What is yes, coccyx.
Another vestigial part.
Yes.
Appendix.
Ridge, tafadhali time out. Vascular bundles. Guys, please pray for Belinda. She needs special prayers. Mimi hata theology yangu haiwezi msaidia. Vestigial organs. Yes, we have the coccyx or the human tail. Things that yes, we have the appendix. Coccyx. Ni the human tail. Ridge ulipata new biology. It's the human tail. Yes, Tony, wisdom teeth. Exactly. Kila mtu ametoa hapa wisdom teeth zake. Tulikuwa na mkia kitambo. Kwani tuko na mkia? That's a very valid question. But yes, we have a human tail. And another one that we can actually live without is the tonsils. So those are vestigial. All right. Who is the astronomer who argued that the Earth revolves around the sun? A very, very famous human argued that the Earth revolves around the sun and got a lot of he was bashed. Belinda, good night. Wewe na Ridge. Mimi guy. Who is it? That's the only astronomer you know. He's
Copernicus.
actually an astronomer. No.
Colas Copernicus.
No, actually Copernicus, his was a bit closer, but he didn't argue that the Earth revolves around the sun. Well, it's actually argued that either both Copernicus or Galileo Galilei, yes. Purity Nicholas ni nani? Yes, Galileo Galilei. Copernicus argued that yes, the sun could be stationary and we could be and he argued that the sun is stationary. They actually thought kitambo that the sun is the one that revolves around the earth. But with Copernicus and Galileo, they came to realize that no, it's the planets that revolve around the sun. So guys, if you look at night, you look up at the sky and you see 3 stars aligned. What constellation are you looking at? Watu walikuwa hata sijui walitoka hapo nikawa walikuwa wanatumia. Yes, Sandra, it's the Orion's belt. Musembi, Sandra amejibu. When you go at night and you see 3 stars aligned together, you're looking at the Orion's belt. Now Musembi is happy. Haya, my final question. Kuna belt inaitwa Orion. Inaitwa Orion's belt. Wewe wewe. Uache kuwatch movie sasa, watch vitu important za hii maisha. You're made of stardust. Guys, my very final question before we go for lunch. All right? Only half of the population of human beings contain the largest cell in the human body visible to the naked eye. What is it? I need you guys to be so particular.
Come again.
Only half of the human population contains the largest largest cell in the human body visible to the human eye, to the naked eye. What is it? Only half of the population contains the largest cell of the human body, on the human body, that is visible to the naked eye. What is it? Hey, Belinda, unaonanga white blood cells zako? Melanin. No, is melanin a cell? This thumb cell is platelet cells. And can you see platelets? The eye cells, my lord. Ridge. We, nunulini ridge kahawa na Belinda. Mitochondria. Do you see them? The hair is hair cell. Is this a gender thing? You tell me. You people, you're funny. You people, you're so funny. Thumb clasping, is that a cell? Nose. Amy, nose is a cell. You've made my day. You've made my day. Ama tuseme mwalimu Patrick will represent na Esther. So the question is, only half of the population contains the largest cell in the human body visible to the naked eye. Yes, Patrick, it's the ovum. It's actually the ovum. Congratulations, Patrick. Thank you for representing your people. Visible aje, so when a woman gets pregnant, see, unaona akona mimba. Na mimba ikitoka inakuwa ni mtoto. Hii ni ya females. Hatuonangi hizo. But me, I needed an answer. Justin, I needed an answer. At your ovum cell, yes, it's the largest. Yes, it's the largest cell in the human body. It's actually an egg. Yes, it's a cell. Emi unauliza umepata ngapi? It's not 50% of the people. Mohammed, how many are you? Sasa hatuwezi ona hiyo. Si mnaionanga hiyo watu wakitembea na mimba. So did you guys have fun with my general questions? So you go watch a lot of documentaries, watch movies na cartoons. Otherwise, I'm going to see you in the afternoon. I'm happy you loved my question. To pay bonus, winner takes all. Bonus question. Ikiwa na mimba ni small baby yako ndani, sisi wa animations nyinyi wa animation mnatumia ChatGPT. Ninakuona Mosembi. Okay. My last question. Aya, mimi naye ni kama narudi class. Wewe na Belinda tutawalipia mrudi science class. What do we call the death of a star? What do we call the death of a star? Mnijibu mkiendanga. Yes, supernova. Good night. Guys, have a good lunch. Have a good afternoon.
Good night.
Hi. Hey, you people. Ai. Weekend ifike. Hatuwezi endelea hivi.
Tunapatana kesho ama?
Hapana, tunakutana saa 8. We Elfas,
Umeniambia
ninakuona.
good night.
Joy,
Eh?
hiyo ya supernova ni ChatGPT.
Sikuamini, wewe sikuamini.
Nimejibu kabla hata umalize kuuliza.
Labda unatumia ChatGPT hapo inanisikiza inakujibu haraka haraka.
Ukaona giza.
Sikuamini Justin akisina hata maji, achana na uji. Joy anahitaji kabisa nitumie Range unajua constellation, lakini umeuliza kaa kuna belt inaitwa Orion. Sikuamini. Justin, I make a kaput. Sawa.